Marisa, as you considered pursuing a master's degree, you knew some things about yourself that made you think of clinical social work as a career.
My degree was in liberal arts, and I think having that humanities approach, I focused a lot on various cultures and just people topics, and that prepared me for social work in that I already considered the differences and the similarities between people. I was always looking at the way that people interacted and how their environment and circumstances affected behavior on a macro level and on a micro level. So I guess I became a student of people early on.
In social work graduate school, what was it like? Did it meet your expectations?
I didn't know what to expect, I think. I think I had, some kind of broad overview of what a social worker was based on people I'd seen in the field, and actually getting down and doing the work made such a difference for me. My first internship was as an outreach social worker, so I was working with people who had been in state hospitals and released, who are now using community-based services and had very high needs. And as I got into the lives of these people, went into their homes, I felt so privileged to be in their homes and on such an intimate level with them. I got to see how important that relationship is that you develop with a client over time, and how that affects change, how that itself is key. It was the actual experience of working with people over a course of several months.
In a 2-year master's program, what were the highlights of year 1 and year 2?
My first supervisor was a man who let me co-lead a group in dual diagnosis with him. And I was able to see how a group works over time, the whole process. He had me not lead initially, but just to sit, be present, and listen. I learned a lot about listening from that experience and not rushing in with my ideas and my thoughts, and to take myself out of the process and just to see how the whole group worked. I learned a lot about dual diagnosis. I learned a lot about mutual aid. I learned a lot about the whole group process. And he was very supportive of my efforts as I went into people's homes. And later on, I looked back over the experience, I thought, well, there were some situations that might have seemed even frightening to somebody who's not in the field, and I never had that perspective from him. He was always eager to go in and work with people. He saw these people as people he was very much looking forward to spending time with, and I just naturally adopted that attitude. So that was very helpful. My supervisor, my most recent year, my final year, was the professor who taught me to go back and look at some of the psychodynamic theory and some of the underlying reasons for a person's behavior or challenges that they're facing in their functioning. And that was extremely helpful for me. And saying, okay, I have all these neat tools and techniques I can do for helping a person get along now, but if we don't understand why those patterns of behavior or interpersonal interactions came from, if we don't understand the origin, it's going to be very hard to actually change the behavior.